Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. Hey Jason, can you use Widowmaker's 20 rep set for pause bench instead of squat? And how could you program them if you bench 2 to 3 times a week? You could, but I wouldn't recommend this. Look, the old 20 rep squat program was developed for high school football players, right? If you guys recall with the 20 rep squat program, it's called Widowmakers that people are talking about, is where you take a weight that's about your 12 rep max on a squat. And you do 10 reps, and then you rest pause your way all the way up to 20. So, because you haven't hit failure if you do 10 reps with a 12 rep max. So you leave 2 reps in the tank, then you start taking a few deep breaths at the top and do breathing squats like that and just crank out a rep every few seconds, 1 rep, until you get to 20 and take as long as it takes to get to 20. So 20 rep squat programs like that, or Widowmakers, were usually combined with a gallon of milk a day to bulk up high school football players. Now, in terms of training efficiency and programming, this is not something anyone who's not a pretty novice lifter with teenage hormones and large amounts of calories is going to sustain for long. It's not necessarily good programming. Furthermore, upper body muscles don't respond to the same sort of training loads and volumes like that a squat might. And so, to be honest with you, I think if you did this on bench press, I think it would be suboptimal. I wouldn't recommend this. I don't think it's something I would do. I don't even really program 20 rep squat programs for anybody. And I'm not saying they don't work. I'm not saying I've never done it, because I have. All right, I've done Widowmakers before with like 315 on the squat. So it's not something I would recommend as programming at all, and I sure wouldn't do it on the bench. Just follow a normal bench program to get your bench as strong as you can, and do extra accessory movements around the bench for any weak spots in your hypertrophy. And that's going to be a much, much better choice. And if you're a novice, and follow a proven novice program, you don't need to go do this. This was developed a long time ago, and training, even in the strength world, has gone further since the 1970s. All right, so just remember that, guys. All right, next question. Would you rather have 5% less body fat or 40 pounds more to your max bench? I plan on getting both, right? I plan on getting both. It's going to take me a while because I'm kind of normalizing and doing a slow recomp at this body weight. Then I'll cut again later when I get stronger. But I want to do both. Like, why do I need to pick either or? Here's what I would say to most people, though. Any of these things you need to do in phases. Look, you can set 2 different goals. It might seem like a lot, but honestly, when you're not really lean already, like me, it's like 17% body fat on the last DEXA scan. To go a 5% body fat change is not enormous. Now, if you do it too quickly, you're just going to rebound. Right? If you don't change set points and stuff, you'll rebound. But that's not an enormously impossible goal. And adding 40 pounds to your bench press isn't an enormously impossible goal. Now, I will say that the 40 pounds to the bench is probably harder, because I am an advanced lifter. Putting 40 pounds on my bench is a lot. That's a lot. But it's doable. But these are both long-term goals. So there's no need to pick one. I mean, when people say stuff like that, you don't need to pick one, but you do need to sometimes prioritize one over another, right? Like adding more to my bench right now is more important than stripping off large amounts of body fat. I'll probably do a little bit of slow recomping at this body weight, because if you're gaining strength and you're not gaining weight, you're probably gaining a small amount of muscle and you'll lose a little fat. But diet's on point for that. But the training is a slightly higher priority right now. And once the strength is there, I'll probably cut further again, just like I did. I cut 40 pounds last year and I kept it off. And I'll do the same thing later, in blocks, maybe 10 pounds here, 10 pounds there in different phases, and just try to maintain and just slowly get leaner over time while getting stronger. But you don't have to pick one or the other. Like I would like to do both. You just have to be intelligent in your approach about it and consistent. All right, next question. Hey Jason, I recently finished your intermediate program with great success and will be doing it again soon. However, the 10 rep range extremely boring. Could I eliminate the 3, 4, 5 sets of 10 and start at 8 and replace them with 6s afterwards? As long as the percentages are appropriate, would I see similar results? Cheers. Okay, I'm going to sound like a contradiction here, and it's not a contradiction. It's because different experience levels of lifters need different advice. When I tell novice lifters, do not change anything in my program. Do not change anything in my programs. And if they were one of my clients, I would fire them. I would not want their money because they would give my coaching a bad name if I was coaching them for money and they changed anything that I told them to do. Those people are uncoachable. Novice lifters have no business adjusting anything in a program. They don't have the knowledge, the training experience, the body awareness to change anything or pick a single thing that they do in the gym on their own. They should not pick a single rep or weight on their own that's not part of a program by a coach, ever. And I feel that way because novices are stupid. They're basically babies when it comes to training. They have no experience, no knowledge, no capacity to know what to do. Nobody with less than a year of serious lifting experience does at all. So let's come over to you. You're an intermediate. You've run this with great success. The intermediate program is a loose linear template. If you want to go heavier and adjust the percentages accordingly based off rep max calculators through all the phases, that's fine. Like if you literally wanted to start with 8s, right? If you wanted to start with 8s, then go to 5s, then 3s, then singles for the blocks. As long as you're adding appropriate accessory works in to get the volume in that you need, and you adjusted the percentages accordingly, that would actually be perfectly acceptable on the program also. It would be perfectly acceptable. Again, make the adjustments to the template based upon your current needs. It's a relatively flexible template. It's just a skeleton structure because intermediate lifters need more of that. They don't need exact everything laid out the same way in a cookie cutter template the way a novice does. So yeah, feel free to adjust that. All right, next question. Are dumbbell squats just as taxing on your nervous system as deadlifts since they both start with lifting the weight from the floor and they both have a very similar form? Wouldn't hack squats also be as taxing as deadlifts? Are you dumbbell squatting 500 pounds? When we talk about lifts being taxing as far as these big lifts go, it's oftentimes because of the amount of weight compressing down on your spine. Right, axial loading has its own recovery component separate from the exercise. If you're picking up a pair of 50-pound dumbbells and squatting them, first of all, you're weak. Like recovery is the least of your problems right now. And if that's all you're doing is cleaning up a pair of 50-pound dumbbells to squat, you need to get your weak ass under a barbell. So let's get that out of the way first of all. I would say honestly, with something like a dumbbell squat, I wouldn't worry about the nervous system fatigue of it till you get past a 200-pound dumbbell in each hand. If you're a woman, past about a 100-pound dumbbell in each hand. How many people do you know who clean up 200-pound dumbbells and squat them? So we shouldn't be having this conversation. Now, the hack squat, I don't know, whatever the hell that is. I lose track of what these different oddball exercises are. Jefferson, cock pulls, hack squats, hack deadlifts. I don't know the difference between any of them anymore. I lose track of this silly shit. If you're doing a deadlift variation, so let's say the hack lift, right, or whatever they call it, from behind the back, I assume that's what you're talking about, where you're lifting more weight than you do on a normal deadlift, it is going to be more fatiguing than a deadlift because you have more axial loading. So you have more recovery related stress than you do stimulation. So from a stress management perspective, it's a bad lift. Deadlift is already hard enough to recover from when done correctly, right? You already have to be very careful when programming the conventional or the sumo deadlift heavy. So taking a weight like that, you've got to strap up and you lift an even heavier weight from behind your back with more axial loading, is just plain silly. From a recovery perspective, it's a problem to program something like that regularly. Like I said, we already struggle enough. Once you get really strong, and when I say strong, I mean if you're a sub 500 pound deadlifter, you're not strong yet. When you get strong, programming deadlifts is really a problem. And so exercises like that require an even heavier weight loaded on your spine than your deadlift, again, you better know what you're doing at that point. It can be a recovery issue. All right, next question. Hey Jason, what do you think of novices utilizing only the closed grip bench press in your new novice program? And what would your closed grip bench press strength standard be for an intermediate lifter? I don't really understand the latter. Your close grip is going to be about 1% lower than your wide grip. Okay. All right. That's perfectly acceptable. As long as you're doing a true close grip bench press. My question for you is, do you know what a close grip bench press is? Do you mean literally what goofy ass bodybuilders try to call a close grip sometimes, to where their wrists are bent all the way inward and they can't touch the bar to their chest? That's not a close grip bench press. That's called a fucking retard press. That's a good word for it. We'll start calling it that. Or a bodybuilder press. Same thing, basically. Bodybuilders are retarded anyways. So a close grip bench press in which your hands are wide enough, which means your thumbs are probably at the edge of the smooths or wider, to where you can touch the barbell completely to your chest without any of your fingers or your thumbs getting in the way. All right, that's a close grip bench press. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to use. Perfectly fine. In fact, I don't ever recommend that novices do ultra wide. What do I mean ultra wide? I don't want your pinkies going past the rings, ever. So a medium grip or a close grip is fine. Whichever you're more comfortable with, whichever you want to work through for a while. Just be aware that if you want to get stronger at a slightly different grip width, you're going to have to train that grip width a little bit. That it's not always as full of carryover as we might like. So just be aware of that. But I'm perfectly fine with that. The close grip bench press is an excellent mass builder, and the extra range of motion added is beneficial. Just be aware you'll be slightly weaker at it. But your close grip and your wider grip are going to be generally so close together in strength that for some people there will be no difference. Right? For some people there will be no difference. For other people it might be up to 20 pounds different, depending upon your structure and everything else. Now, I'm not talking about ultra advanced elite powerlifters. We're talking about the average guy. We're talking about guys who are just trying to get to a 300 bench, right? That's all we're talking about. Look, if you can close grip 300, you can probably wider grip 300. If you can medium grip, pinkies over on the rings, wider grip like that, bench 300, you can probably close grip close to 300 also anyways. 290, 295, I'd be willing to bet. For the majority of you out there, I don't think we need to separate the strength standard on these two. Unless you're talking about the retard press or the bodybuilder close grip bench press, which would be a different animal. I don't know. We don't have a strength standard for that. Whatever doesn't strain your wrist. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.